we're finally getting back into that recruiting season. We just had On3 release their new final rankings, which saw Ben Hanks earn his 5th star. I mean, we've both talked a lot about Ben Hanks and really like him as a corner, maybe even being a player that we could see step up as a freshman. Something we've seen a lot with corners at UF, like we saw with Kyrie Elam and CJ Henderson. So I wouldn't be the biggest surprise player out of Miami. And he gets that 5th star composite. He's jumping into that top 50 area. So he's definitely a player that everyone has their different boundaries for, like, okay, this is elite, this is above average, or however you want to consider it. But if you want to say like 5 stars, 32, and you're not considering 33 close to a 5-star, it's like if you're 50, what's the difference between 50 and 40? I mean, that's like he's getting to that level to where you're considering him one of the elite players in this class.
Yeah, he's not like underrated's not the word I would use because
No.
he's not. Like he's rated pretty high, but I think he's a pretty under-discussed player from this 2025 signing class, like among the fan base. You know, obviously a lot of excitement around the 5-star receivers with Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson, and 2 guys that probably could make an instant impact, but like Hanks is, you know, probably the best defensive player in this class, at least, you know, on paper. I think he's the highest ranked. And then, you know, so like and like the guys you mentioned, CJ Henderson, Kyrie Elam, like guys that kind of had to step up due to injury. Well, we've seen this, you know, injuries at the cornerback position has been a problem for the Gators. And we talked about, you know, the depth they got, the transfer from Southern Miss to kind of provide some depth there. But, you know, another guy that I think you could easily see step up if you know, if it's needed. So
Michael
I'm very, very excited about Michael Caraway. Yeah, sorry, I remembered Caraway. I was blanking on his first name.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you know, really nice addition to the class. I think a guy that has a chance to, you know, not going to come in and start probably, but, you know, could certainly be an impact in the rotation and, you know, a guy that maybe you could rely on if you need to.
Yeah, I'll say, so Ben Hanks is 58th in the composite, and Hilton Stubbs, he also got a little bump. He's 53rd in the composite.
Okay, cool.
So the 2 guys.
So what is the class rank now?
The class on the 247 composite rankings is 8th.
8th? Okay.
Yep. I mean, I remember when we started, we were talking recruiting. We were like, we'd be lucky to get to top 10.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think the first episode we did, we were ranked like in the 40s at the time or something like that.
We may have been 54th.
Yeah.
I remember we were like 54th for a little bit.
Yeah.
But obviously we got to 8th, and class may not be done yet. We have Onis Kodembeni, who we believe signs on Wednesday, National Signing Day. 4-star corner, been committed to Tennessee. Back in December, there was a lot of talks about him flipping to Florida. He probably was supposed to, but then ended up not signing, taking his time. But everything really says that he's still going to flip to Florida. And hopefully he bumps his class up. Obviously, corner position we just talked about suffered a ton of injuries. Not the greatest depth there right now. So, I mean, if you're a talented corner like he may as well be, you have a chance to maybe get early playing time. So it makes sense for him to flip from Tennessee to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've, I think, both felt pretty good about Florida closing out here with Onis for, you know, really since early signing day. You know, it's always, I mean, I'd say it's pretty much never a good sign for the team that someone's committed to when they don't sign on early signing day when they were originally expected to. Probably means someone's in their ear, you know, making counter offers and such. So I think Florida feels pretty good here. I think you and I are on the same page. Like no one's really seen anything that would lead us to believe Florida's not in a really good position to land Onis here. So I think we expect at least that chip to fall on signing day on Wednesday.
Absolutely. A bit more of an unknown here. Javari Flowers, he was a top 65, I think, rated player in the class of 2026. Another player out of Miami, a corner. I think we're recruiting him to play the slot position, nickel, star. So many different names for it, but I think that's where we're recruiting him to play at. He's in the top 100 of the composite right now. We have a visit set for him, which I think March 10th, March 12th. He's a player that, I mean, we could really use, especially Aaron Gates' injury. If you're just running out there with Sharif Denson and Michael Caraway, who's probably going to play multiple positions there, might be a little bit of a worry thing, but you get a player younger, obviously reclassifying from the 2027 class to 2026 to 2025. Younger player, so you don't know how quickly he can develop. But I mean, he's still a guy who is rated highly. I've seen people calling him an elite prospect. He's 5'10" and a half, so that's kind of why I suspect that it's at that nickel / star spot. Main contenders, I'm hearing Miami, Georgia, FSU, with a real emphasis on Miami. So that's nothing that's like guaranteed to go to Florida, but it's something that the staff really likes him. And we got visits set for him, and he's supposed to commit about mid-March, and we have him visiting at the 10th and 12th, so we might have that last visit for him.
Yeah, Flowers, a guy that like wasn't really on our radar, obviously,
No.
because he wasn't a 2025 recruit until the last week. I'd say to me, like the thing that's really noteworthy here is that he is still a top 100 recruit after reclassifying, because pretty commonly you see guys when they reclassify drop pretty significantly. Like Jakeem Stewart was the #1 overall recruit in the 2026 class, reclassified to 2025, and was still a 5-star, but was more of a middle of the pack 5-star after reclassifying. So to still be a top 100 recruit, despite being 17 or whatever he would be when he gets on campus, I guess, that I think says a lot. I mean, seems like, scouts are really high on him, a guy that, people see has a lot of potential, and obviously a lot of blue blood suitors for this guy. So, I think if, obviously Onus would be a nice addition. And then if you can land Flowers too, I mean, we haven't really been talking about this National Signing Day because, there's not really a lot going on. The class is kind of already wrapped, but that would be, quite a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I counted the other day, and I think it was like 3 of the top 247 rated prospects that are unsigned. One of them, Ty Haywood, he's like confirmed going to Michigan almost at this point. There's another edge rusher who's pretty highly rated, and then Javari Flowers, who just reclassified. So everyone's really signed at this point. And then you have like Onus and maybe there's some other lower 4-star rated guys who are also unsigned. But this is also, if we can go in, because I hear Miami also really wants him, go in, take another corner from Miami. I mean, we went and got Jalen Wiggins out of Tallahassee. So we went and snatched one right up from FSU right there. Ben Hanks from Miami. I mean, he's a legacy here, so we did have an edge there. But he is straight from Miami. So get him plus Flowers going right into our rivals and taking 4-star blue chip prospects from them. I mean, it's a pretty good sign of what the staff can do, and possibly get this class into like the top 7 or 6, which, again, just a couple months ago would have been considered witchcraft.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't quite the close we thought it could potentially be, with guys like Solomon Thomas and stuff like that. But I mean, ultimately getting Dallas Wilson, who is now enrolled, it ended up being a pretty solid haul for Florida, capitalized on the momentum to end the year pretty well. So, just another kind of reason that we're going into this 2025 season with elevated expectations, because they're starting to look the part of a team that's acquiring talent like a, at least SEC contender, if not national title contender.
Yeah, one last thing I want to get into on another player out of Miami, Nashawn Montgomery. I want to get onto him a little bit. He was one of the better players at the practices for like the All-American games. He had a really good statistically in that game at the All-American game. Yet on 3 and 247 still have him listed as a 3-star receiver. I don't understand it. I mean, both sites have him listed at 6'1" as well. I'm pretty sure he came in at the All-American game at like 6'2.5" as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there, why they have him rated so like low. Because I feel like he's a player that I think he'd be a top 100 player in the class.
Yeah.
Like,
didn't Dallas Wilson also drop in the ratings?
Dallas Wilson did also drop.
Yeah.
And that's like reports are because he missed the All-American game. So you're punishing a player for not going there, but then you're also not rewarding a player for playing well at it. I mean, and
that sounds like an industry conspiracy. I mean, I'm half joking, but like that is a little suspect when these recruiting sites are like punishing players for not going to the games that like they need to function to get, talk to players and do more extra scouting and stuff like that.
And then it's also Dallas Wilson was with his sick grandmother too, which I'm pretty sure was what happened there.
It's a good point.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say there's conspiracy because we did have players rise in the rankings.
Yeah.
I mean,
like we said, Ben Hanks just got his 5th star. So
yep. I mean, Ben Hanks got his 5th star. Vernell Brown got a little boost as well. So there's obviously not that conspiracy, but it is weird how you have some sites like Rivals has Nation in the top 100 and ESPN has him just outside of it.